Hi, let us understand how to provision a CentOS operating system as a part of AWS cloud environment. In case if you have access to a CentOS or any Red Hat operating system, or if you are comfortable with any cloud environment in terms of provisioning a CentOS operating system, you can skip this lecture and move on to the next one. I have selected AWS because it is widely used cloud for hardware provisioning. I have registered with the AWS account, and within that I do have a service called EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. As this course is not about AWS, I am not going to get into the detailed discussion. I will be choosing the basic option so that I can get the CentOS operating system. Within the EC2 dashboard, I will be choosing the option Launch Instance. That will provide me the option to choose the AMI. We call that as Amazon Machine Image, where I can have the pre-built version or I can go with any operating system. Within AWS Marketplace, I can search for CentOS. Depending on the operating system, the pricing would vary. I can verify the Amazon web page on the pricing. This is the pricing for various type of operating system, right from Linux, Red Hat Linux, Windows, and different pre-built operating systems, and these are all the different size of the system and the pricing per hour basis. So I'll be selecting CentOS 7 with updates. It will provide me the details on how much the software would cost and how much for the EC2. CentOS is open source, so it will not get charged for the software, only for the EC2 it will get charged. I'm going to go with T2.medium, which will cost around 4.6 cents per hour. So I'll agree to the condition. Here I do have the option to select the type of instance. So I'll be going with T2 medium, where I'll be having 2 core processors and 4 GB of RAM. Let me proceed with the next configuration. I'm going to provision only one instance. I can go for any number of instances. I can configure the network or advanced configurations I can do. For this particular lecture, I'm going to leave all the values as default. I'll get into the storage option. Here I will be selecting 8 GB hard disk and the type of hard disk as SSD, so that I will get better performance. And this particular hard disk should get deleted when I am terminating this particular instance. If you want, I can provide a name to it. And here's where the security configuration comes into picture. I can go with any security configuration in terms of what are all the ports to be open and for whom. I'm going to have this particular port open, that is 22, only for my IP address. It is always recommended to open only for your IP address, and this can be changed at any point of time. As I'm going to use SSH client for doing the administration activity on this particular system, I'm opening only for my IP address. In case if I say anywhere, anyone who is having access to this particular system and the credentials, they will be in a position to log in. For more security purpose, I am selecting only my IP address, and it is a dynamic one. Automatically it will select the current IP address. Let me review the options that I have selected and say launch. AWS uses the key value pair login, and I do have option to select the existing key or generate a new key. You can go ahead and create a new pair and download. Let me go ahead and demonstrate how to create a new key pair and use the new key pair. I'm downloading the new key pair. This is the only option where you will have option to download the key pair. AWS doesn't store this particular private key anywhere, and in case if you lose the key, you will not be in a position to access this particular system at all. This is the perm file that got downloaded. I'll be using it once the system gets launched. Let me launch the instance. The instance would get started and it should be available within few minutes. So the instance is getting started. This is the instance that is getting started. Let me go ahead and explain the other options available. Within your account, you do have option My Billing Dashboard for whatever the instance or service that you are using and how much the billing that happened for that specific service, that will be available within the billing dashboard. And it would get reflected after 6 hours of time. And during the installation, you can very well use the 1-year free tier option provided by the AWS, and that will be available for 1 year duration. So while selecting the EC2 instance, you can go ahead and select the micro instance which will be eligible for free tier. Here it will be marked which are all the systems which will be eligible for free tier, and Tomcat can get installed within the system as well. Now let me get back to the EC2 instance dashboard. I do have the instance up and running. I can select that specific instance and it will provide the public IP address, the DNS, with which I can log into this specific instance. And this is the security group that we created. We can go ahead and modify this specific security group whenever we want. We can go ahead and edit the inbound rules for any port and for any sources whenever it is required. Now let us use the key and the public DNS to log into this specific instance. To log into the EC2 instance, I need to use a tool called Putty, and that can be downloaded from this specific location. From putty.org, I can get into this specific link and download a tool called putty.exe, where I can use this specific public DNS and the key to log into the instance. Let me provide the public DNS. Let me store this particular session as AWS Tomcat, so that I don't need to provide this specific configuration every time. And within connections, I'm going to keep this particular keep alive option as 30 seconds. And within data, I'm going to use the login user ID as CentOS. CentOS 7 AMI uses CentOS as the user ID to log into the instance. Within SSH authentication tab, I need to provide the private key to log into the instance. The key is available over here. Let me use this specific option. Here is where the requirement for using another tool comes into picture. The Putty tool in Windows only accepts the private key in PPK format. The key provided by AWS, it is in PEM format. So I need to use another tool, PuttyGen, to convert the PEM file to a PPK file. Here's where the PuttyGen tool. Here I'm going to load the PEM file. Once the PEM file is loaded, I can save the private key. Let me select the option to save the private key without the passphrase. Passphrase is additional protection to protect the key with the password. So I'll give the name and it will get stored with the extension PPK. Now here I can select the PPK file. So I do have the PPK file. Let me save the session and say open. First time when I'm logging into the system, it is going to verify the security fingerprint. Let me say yes, and I am into the system. Let me change the settings for better font. Under Windows, Appearance. Let me change the font of size 14 bold. Now I do have a running CentOS 7 operating system. I'm going to use this specific operating system to do the installation of Tomcat. Once the installation or configuration is done, I can go ahead and stop this particular instance where no charges would happen. In case if I don't want any further charges to happen, I can go ahead and terminate. This is very important one in terms of cost management. Once if you don't want that particular system, you need to go ahead and terminate to avoid any further cost happening against that specific instance. So in a quick summary, we have seen how to provision a CentOS operating system using AWS Cloud and how to generate the key and login using Putty tool, as well as how to convert the PEM file to a PPK file using PuttyGen tool.